Goldeneye on the N64, first published by Rare for the N64 in 1997. Obviously, it was based on Goldeneye the film, which came out in 1995. The development took more than 2.5 years to complete and had a budget of $2 million. What a game, where you had to complete a series of levels. It was all pretty gory, actually. A fair bit of blood. It was actually intended to be more violent, but this was scrapped during development at Nintendo 64's request to Rare, telling them to tone it down. Oi, Rare! Tone it down, will ya? The game actually features more than 20 weapons, including pistols, submachine guns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, grenades, throwing knives, actually one of my faves, PP7 special issue, silenced PP7, DD44 Dostovai, Klobb, KF7 Soviet, ZMG 9mm, silenced D5K, Phantom, RCP90, shotgun, automatic shotgun, sniper rifle, Cougar Magnum, golden gun, silver PP7, gold PP7, grenade launcher, rocket launcher, hand grenade, timed mine, proximity mine, remote mine. Guns. Despite their fictional names, most weapons were modelled after real-world firearms, such as the Walther PPK, the AK-47, and the FNP-90. The Klobb was inspired by the Scorpion, a Czechoslovak submachine gun with a folding stock. Its name was chosen to honour Ken Lobb, who was Rare Nintendo's side producer at the time. Pistol's name was changed firstly to Spider, then to Klobb, one for the geeks. This change was made from Spider to Klobb so late in development that the alphabetical item lists in the game still place Klobb as if it was called Spider, so further down the list. Anyway. One for the geeks. The Klobb has been retrospectively described by critics as a memorable aspect of the gameplay, albeit for its negative traits. Despite its high rate of fire, it deals with a low amount of damage and is extremely inaccurate, so a bit of a crap gun. In a review of the time, Edge remarked that the ability to double wield the Klobb is one of the most satisfying moments in the game. They argued that even though it was a bit of a crap gun, it's actually a very memorable video game gun moment. Another weapon, the Dostovai, modelled after the Tokarev pistol, was named after David Doak's initials, David Doak being a former video game designer at Rare. As I said, its release in 1997 came out a couple of years after the film, and there were very, very low expectations surrounding it. In fact, the game was almost never released. Nintendo actually thought it had too many bugs and stopped funding the project, but Rare had faith and kept the funding going, just as well as it became one of N64's top-selling games, selling 8 million copies. Development. In November 1994, Nintendo and Rare discussed the possibility of developing a game based on the upcoming James Bond film Goldeneye. So Martin Hollis is a video game designer who worked on Goldeneye. He did computer science at Cambridge. He was described by one of the Goldeneye 007 designers, Duncan Botwood, as one of the smartest people he has ever known. Sorry, that was a tangent, but I'm going to talk about Hollis. So Hollis told Tim Stamper, who was Rare's managing director, that he was interested in the project. So due to the success of Rare's 1994 game Donkey Kong Country, Goldeneye 007 was originally suggested as a 2D platformer for the SNES. So Hollis came up with this whole 3D concept for Goldeneye for the N64, complete with design ideas, gadgets, weapons and characters. Apparently, Hollis worked an average of 80 hours a week over the 2-year lifespan of the project. Influences include Sega's 1994 shooter Virtual Cop, yeah, okay. The seminal 1993 shooter Doom, yeah, okay. And Nintendo 64 Super Mario 64, okay. SGI Onyx graphics workstation was used during the first stages of development. Look at that bit of kit. I mean, it's amazing that they built some epic stuff on that. A lot of Goldeneye is black and white. RGB color textures cost a lot in terms of processing power. You could double the resolution if you used greyscale. So a lot was done like that. Wow, double the resolution by cutting the colour. It would probably have been worth it on balance in terms of playability. It did always look like a dark game to me. During the early development of the game, Rare had the idea of the player taking the N64 rumble pack in and out of the controller in order to reload a weapon, which would have mirrored the act of reloading a magazine into an actual firearm. Nintendo shot down the idea. I actually really liked that idea. Trivia: the faces of the standard enemies in the game were the faces of the Rareware staff. Dr. Doak, the scientist that you need to get the unlocking mechanism from in Facility, was named after Rareware staff member David Doak. That lot is so geeky, but you would definitely feature yourself in the game if you'd made such a great game. Yeah, despite making me feel really sick, it was a great game. Temple being a standout level with the pyramid and the dark winding halls. Yeah, it was fantastic. Okay, so the team actually visited the studios of the Goldeneye film several times to collect photographs and blueprints of the sets. Details such as bullet marks on the walls, cartridge cases ejected from guns, and objects exploding were all part of the design. So the N64's kind of spec wasn't actually available to Rare at the time, so they had to kind of estimate the console's capabilities using this SGI Onyx workstation and Nintendo's custom Ninja development software. Ninja as in a bow Ninja, a seminal Japanese noise rock band who were about several years ago. Check them out. Plot: I mean, you just go around shooting at people, hiding behind pillars, walls, and kneeling behind boxes and things. Best bit was when you walked up to the door and you just moved towards the control pad next to the door, and the door would just open, and then all these people would run towards you and you'd be just picking them off one by one. And then you just breeze through. Like, the game had a real fluidity to it, which actually sometimes made me feel massively sick. You could just like charge at different walls and breeze through the level and just generally kind of avoid most of the enemies in the room if you didn't want to actually fight them. And of course, the multiplayer was the ultimate in ultimate multiplayer shoot 'em ups. This was effectively a deathmatch on a split screen. It took 6 weeks to develop and became one of the game's best known features. Yeah, the multiplayer was almost added as an afterthought. Definitely the best bit of the game. The Bonds were also planned to be in multiplayer mode as playable characters. However, because Rare didn't have the permission to use the likeness of any of the actors except Brosnan, this was scrapped, and all of the save files had Brosnan's picture in the final game. This was the target of a hoax known as the Four Bonds Code. Rare intended to use the faces of the four previous James Bonds for multiplayer, so Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton, but were told to remove them due to copyrights. Their still photos can be accessed through the game using hacking devices. The hack was discovered by Electronic Gaming Monthly and printed as a cheat for the April 1st edition of 1997, saying that it would allow you to play all of the previous James Bonds in multiplayer, and even showed the game stills of the characters, which are still in the code. The next month they revealed this to be an April Fool's joke. Natalia, yes, the sidekick. Look at her there in her mini skirt. She actually wears the same skirt in the 2010 version, so the skirt has lasted pretty well actually. Quite an economic purchase. Natalia travels around mostly unarmed. She plays the damsel in distress role in Bunker and in the St. Petersburg levels. In the Cuban jungle, she carries a magnum. So there you have it, some fun facts and history of the game Goldeneye. I hope you enjoyed.